Nathan's hand froze inches from the door. Through the mahogany, he heard laughter, a man's voice, low and comfortable. The gift box Emma had wrapped in crayon-decorated paper suddenly felt absurd in his hand. For 3 months, Victoria had been canceling their video calls. The reason was always, "I'm sorry, work is just crazy right now." Nathan had believed her and decided to fly across the country to surprise her. Then he heard her voice, crystal clear through the silence. "Nathan's a good man, but he doesn't understand this world. He never will." The stranger replied, "Then why keep pretending?" Nathan stood frozen in that expensive hallway, holding a 9-year-old's handmade gift. The door stayed closed, and he realized he'd been the only one making the journey. What he didn't know was what Victoria said next, and how those unheard words would change everything. Nathan set the gift box down against the door and walked back to the elevator. His hands were steadier than he'd expected. The doorman nodded him out with a pleasant, "Good evening, sir," as if nothing had happened. His phone buzzed. Emma's text. Did she like it? Is she surprised? Nathan typed back, "Flight home is at 8. See you tomorrow morning, sweetheart." The flight back to Portland was packed. Nathan sat wedged in a middle seat and stared at the seat back in front of him, trying not to think about the month he'd spent planning this surprise, the extra shifts he'd picked up to afford the last-minute ticket. When the plane touched down just after midnight, Nathan drove home through rain-slicked streets. The house was dark, except for the porch light Emma always left on. Inside, he found his daughter asleep on the couch, still in her school clothes, phone clutched in one hand. He carried her to bed, pulled the quilt up to her chin, and stood in the doorway for a long moment. 9 years old. Old enough to notice when he came home early. Old enough to ask questions he didn't know how to answer. In the garage, Nathan pulled out the vintage aircraft engine he'd been restoring. The work was methodical, precise, required his full attention. By 3 in the morning, his hands were steady again. Emma's alarm went off at 6:30. Nathan already had pancakes on the griddle, her lunch packed. She appeared in the kitchen doorway, hair wild from sleep. "You're home." She slid into her chair, watching him with sharp eyes. "Did you see Victoria?" Trip got cut short. Nathan flipped a pancake. "How was school yesterday?" "Dad." "Emma. She didn't want the present, did she?" Nathan set the plate in front of her. "Sometimes things don't work out the way we plan." Emma picked up her fork but didn't eat. "Mom left because we weren't enough. Is Victoria leaving too?" The question landed hard. Jessica hadn't just left. She'd made it clear that Nathan's choice to stay in Oregon, to keep his life small and manageable so he could be the parent Emma needed, had been his mistake. "Victoria and I are different people," Nathan said finally. "We want different things. That's nobody's fault. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got right now." Emma ate in silence. Before she left for school, she hugged him harder than usual. "You're enough, Dad. You've always been enough." Nathan watched her climb onto the school bus, then checked his phone. 7 missed calls from Victoria. 4 voicemails. He deleted them all without listening and headed to work. Portland Regional Airport handled mostly small aircraft. The hangar where Nathan worked was concrete and fluorescent lights and the smell of aviation fuel. He'd been there 5 years, ever since he'd left Boeing. His coworkers knew he'd worked there once, but they didn't ask questions. He was rebuilding a Cessna's landing gear when his supervisor found him. "Someone asking for you up front." Nathan didn't look up. "Tell them I'm busy." 20 minutes later, Victoria walked into the hangar anyway. Her heels clicked against the concrete. She wore a charcoal suit, and every man in the building had found a reason to glance her way. "Nathan," her voice carried, "you left without even talking to me." He kept his focus on the landing gear. Didn't seem like there was much to say. "I called you 7 times. I know. So you're just going to ignore me?" Nathan finally looked up. "I heard what I needed to hear, Victoria. That I don't understand your world. That I never will. And you know what? You're probably right. You don't know what you heard. You don't know the context." Before she could continue, a black Mercedes pulled up outside. A man climbed out, moving with easy authority. He wore a suit that made Victoria's look modest and walked straight to her, ignoring everyone else. "There you are. Diane's been trying to reach you." The Hendricks deposition got moved up. Victoria's expression shifted. "Daniel, this isn't a good time." Daniel's gaze landed on Nathan, still holding his wrench, grease on his hands. "This is the mechanic?" The word landed like an insult. "Daniel." Victoria's voice had warning in it. "Stop." But Daniel was already smiling. "Victoria, this is exactly what I meant last night. He's a mechanic at a regional airport. You're a partner at Sterling and Associates. You're arguing the Meridian Air case in federal court next month. Do you really not see how this looks?" The hangar had gone quiet. Nathan picked up his wrench and turned back to the Cessna. "We're done here." Victoria's face had gone pale. "Nathan, you should go. Your deposition's been moved up." He didn't look at her. "Sounds important." He heard her heels click once, twice, then stop. When she spoke, her voice was quiet. "This isn't what you think. Doesn't matter what I think. Go handle your case, Victoria." The Mercedes door closed. Nathan kept working until the sound faded completely. His coworker Tom wandered over eventually, handed him a shop rag. "That was rough." Nathan wiped his hands. "It's fine. That brother of hers is a piece of work." Nathan shrugged and went back to work. He stayed late, worked through his break, through the point where his back complained. When he finally clocked out, his phone rang. Unknown Miami number. Nathan declined the call. Emma was already home when he got there, sitting at the kitchen table with her homework. She looked up, searching his face. "You okay?" "I'm fine, kiddo." "Did Victoria call?" "How'd you know that?" "You have that look." Emma closed her math book. "We're not going to see her anymore, are we?" Nathan sat down. "No, we're not." Emma nodded slowly. "It's the same as Mom. They think you're settling. They think we're not enough. That's not—" "Dad, I'm 9, not stupid." She met his eyes. "But you know what? They're wrong. You're not settling. You're here. Every morning, every night, every soccer practice. That's not settling. That's choosing." Nathan felt something crack in his chest. "When did you get so smart?" "I've always been smart. You're just slow at noticing." But she was smiling now. They ordered pizza for dinner. Emma beat him at chess. Nathan carried her to bed when she fell asleep on the couch, then went back to the garage. The Lycoming engine sat on his workbench, patient and waiting. He was checking the valve clearances when his phone rang again. Almost 11, Oregon area code this time. Against his better judgment, he answered. "Mr. Brooks?" A woman's voice, professional. "This is Margaret Hayes from Sterling and Associates. I apologize for calling so late, but we have an urgent situation." Nathan sat up straighter. "I think you have the wrong number. You're Nathan Brooks? Former lead engineer at Boeing Commercial Airplanes?" The words hung in the air. Nathan hadn't used that title in 5 years. "How did you get this number?" Miss Sterling provided it. "Mr. Brooks, we need your help. The Meridian Air case Flight 447. We're going to trial in 9 days and our expert witness just withdrew. We need someone who can analyze the flight data recorder information, then hire someone. We've tried. Everyone with the right credentials is already working for the plaintiff or has conflicts of interest. Miss Sterling says you're the best person she knows for this." Nathan almost laughed. "Miss Sterling barely knows me. She knows you were the lead investigator on 3 major crash analyses. She knows you have credentials to testify in federal court." The woman paused. "Mr. Brooks, 147 people died when that plane went down. Their families deserve answers." Nathan closed his eyes. "I don't do this anymore. I know. But this isn't about Miss Sterling. This is about 147 people who got on a plane that should have been safe." He should say no. He'd left that world behind for good reasons. But he could still see the news footage from when Flight 447 went down. The list of names, the photos of families. "Send me the preliminary data," he heard himself say. "I'll look at it." That's all I'm promising. The email arrived 30 seconds later. Nathan opened the flight data recorder analysis first. The numbers were familiar, a language he'd once spoken fluently. Airspeed, altitude, pitch, roll, engine performance parameters. 2 hours later, Nathan had filled 3 pages with notes. The preliminary analysis was wrong. The failure pattern didn't match a mechanical defect. He pulled up the maintenance records and felt his stomach drop. Someone had signed off on inspections that were never performed, replaced parts that were never replaced. The plane had been flying for 6 months with critical components past their service life, with safety checks falsified. Nathan picked up his phone. Victoria answered on the second ring. Nathan, your investigator's looking at the wrong system. It's not the hydraulics. It's the bleed air valves. Silence. Then, the maintenance intervals were faked. Someone's been signing off on work they never did. Can you prove it? Give me access to the full maintenance history and I can build you a timeline. More silence. Why are you helping me? I'm not helping you. I'm helping 147 families who deserve to know the truth. He paused. Send me the files. All of them. I'll need 3 days. Nathan? 3 days, Victoria. Then we'll talk about whether I'm willing to testify. He ended the call before she could respond. Emma found him in the garage at 6 the next morning, still wearing yesterday's clothes, surrounded by printed spreadsheets. Did you sleep? Couple hours. Nathan rubbed his eyes. She picked up one of the flight data printouts. This is from a plane crash, the one in Pennsylvania. Emma, this is Victoria's case. She looked at him. So you're helping her? I'm helping the investigation find the truth. Emma was quiet. Then, Mom used to say you couldn't stop fixing things, even when it hurt you. Your mom said a lot of things. She was right about that one, though. Emma set down the printout. Are you going to have to go to Miami? Maybe. Will you be gone for my birthday? Emma's 10th birthday was in 12 days. No. I promise I won't miss your birthday. She nodded and headed upstairs. Nathan listened to her footsteps overhead, the familiar morning sounds. By noon, he'd completed the initial analysis and sent his findings to Victoria's office. By 3, he was on a video call with her legal team. Victoria looked tired. Professional, but tired. She let her associates ask most of the questions while she watched him through the screen. So you're saying Apex Maintenance was systematically falsifying inspection records? Not just falsifying. They were running a ghost crew. Inspections logged as complete in under 2 hours when they should have taken 8. Parts that should have been replaced were still original equipment. Nathan shared his screen, walked them through the data. Serial numbers that didn't match. Inspection signatures from technicians who weren't on shift. A pattern so clear that once you saw it, you couldn't understand how anyone had missed it. Can you prove that? I just did. The call went on for another hour. When everyone else disconnected, Victoria remained on screen. Thank you, she said. Don't thank me yet. I haven't agreed to testify. But you will. It wasn't a question. Nathan leaned back. Why would you think that? Because you can't help yourself. You see something broken and you have to fix it. She paused. That's not a criticism. Your brother was right about us being from different worlds. Daniel's an ambitious lawyer who thinks everyone should live the way he does. He doesn't speak for me. But he said what you were thinking. No. Victoria's voice was firm. He said what he was thinking. What I said, what you overheard, was me trying to argue with him. Trying to explain that you not understanding corporate law didn't mean you'd chosen wrong. The next thing I said was that understanding my world didn't matter. The question was whether I was brave enough to navigate a real life outside of it. The words settled between them, too big for a video call. Daniel asked what I was waiting for. Victoria continued. I told him I was waiting to be sure I wouldn't ruin the best thing that ever happened to me. Then you knocked on the door, except you didn't. You left, and I found Emma's gift sitting outside 2 hours later. Nathan sat with that. You could have called, explained. I tried. 7 times. You could have. What? Shown up at your work? I did. Your brother called you a mechanic like it was an insult and you told me to leave. Fair point. Nathan rubbed his face. This is a mess. Yes. I don't know how to navigate your world, Victoria. I don't need you to understand corporate law. I need you to help me understand how to build a life that's more than just winning cases. She paused. Testify in the case. Come to Miami for the trial. Not for me, for the families. But while you're here, let me buy you dinner and have an actual conversation. I have Emma. Bring her. She glanced off screen. I have to go. But Nathan, thank you for looking at the data. Whether you testify or not, you just saved this case. The screen went dark. Nathan sat in the silence, surrounded by airplane parts and technical diagrams, and the mess of a life he'd carefully constructed to be simple and safe. He picked up his phone and dialed. Mr. Brooks? Margaret Hayes sounded surprised. I'll testify, but I need to be back in Oregon for October 21st. Non-negotiable. Emma's birthday, Miss Sterling briefed me. October 21st, guaranteed. And one more thing. I need a separate hotel room booked. For my daughter. If she comes. Of course. I'll arrange everything. Emma came home from school to find him packing. Miami? For the trial. 1 week, maybe less. Can I come? Nathan had been expecting this. You'd miss school. Fall break starts in 3 days. I'd only miss 2 days, and Mrs. Henderson said I could do makeup work. She'd already thought this through. Plus, I've never been to Florida, and I want to meet Victoria. The real Victoria. He sighed. Fine, but we're getting separate rooms. Emma grinned. Deal. They flew to Miami 4 days later. The hotel was downtown, glass and marble. Emma loved it immediately, the room service menu, the rooftop pool, the view of the bay. This is how Victoria lives. She stood at the window. Something like this. It's pretty, but it seems lonely. Smart kid. Nathan unpacked while Emma explored, finding the card Victoria had left at the front desk. It's addressed to both of us, Emma said. Inside was a handwritten note. Nathan and Emma. Welcome to Miami. Dinner tonight at 7. There's a restaurant near the hotel that makes excellent pizza. Just dinner. Victoria. Emma looked at him expectantly. Can we go? Yeah, we can go. The restaurant was small, tucked into a side street. Victoria was waiting at a corner table when they arrived, and she did a double take when Emma walked in beside him. She stood immediately. Emma, it's good to finally meet you. Emma studied her for a long moment, cataloging every detail. Then she extended her hand formally. Hi, thank you for inviting us. They shook hands. Victoria's smile became genuine. Your dad talks about you constantly. He doesn't talk about you much, Emma said, brutally honest. But I Googled you. You won a big case last year. And you graduated top of your class at Georgetown. Victoria blinked. That's very thorough. I'm good at research. Emma slid into the booth. Dad says you need him to testify because your other expert quit. Emma, Nathan warned, but Victoria laughed. It's fine. She's right. We do need him, but I also needed an excuse to see him again. You could have just called and explained, Emma said. Dad's usually reasonable once he's done being stubborn. I'm sitting right here, Nathan protested. I know. That's why I'm telling Victoria directly. Emma picked up the menu. Do they have pepperoni? Dinner was easier than Nathan expected. Emma dominated the conversation, asking Victoria about Miami and law school. Victoria answered every question seriously, never talking down. When Emma asked about the Flight 447 case, Victoria explained it simply: the plane that crashed, the families left behind, the search for truth. And Dad's going to figure out what really happened? Your dad already figured it out. Now he just has to explain it so a jury understands. Emma nodded. He's good at explaining things. Nathan watched them talk, watched Emma warm to Victoria, watched Victoria relax in a way he'd never seen. No briefcase, no urgency, just a woman eating pizza with a man and his daughter. When Emma excused herself to the bathroom, Victoria turned to Nathan. She's amazing. I know. You did that. Raised her alone. I just showed up. Every day. Victoria shook her head. That's all good parenting is. There's a difference. She paused. I'm sorry. For what Daniel said. For the situation you overheard. For all of it. You already explained. I wanted to say it face to face. She met his eyes. I missed you. These 3 months, I missed you, and I didn't know how to make space for that. Nathan took a breath. Tell me about the case. The real story. So she did. Sterling and Associates was a firm her father had built. Victoria had made partner young, earned it through brutal hours, but her father's retirement had left a power vacuum, and Daniel had been circling, building alliances, undermining her. The Flight 447 case is the biggest we've had in 5 years, Victoria explained. Win it, and my position is secure. Lose it, and Daniel has the ammunition to force me out. So this isn't just about the families. It's about them first. But yes, it's also about my career, my father's legacy. That sounds human, Emma returned. What I miss? Boring adult stuff, Nathan said. Victoria, can I ask you something? Emma didn't wait. Do you actually like my dad, or is this just about needing him for your case? The bluntness made Nathan wince, but Victoria didn't hesitate. I like your dad, a lot, but I'm also not very good at making space for people in my life. I work too much. I cancel plans. So even though I like him, I'm not sure I'm good for him, or for you. Emma considered this. Dad works a lot too, and he's sad sometimes, but he always shows up for the things that matter. Like my birthday and parent-teacher conferences and when I got strep throat and threw up on him twice. Emma, Nathan said. What? It's true. She looked at Victoria seriously. My mom left because she wanted more than us. Do you want more than us? The question hung in the air. Victoria didn't rush to answer. I want a lot of things. Success, respect, to win cases. But I don't want those things more than I want to be someone who shows up. I'm just learning how to do both. Emma nodded slowly. Okay, that's fair. She turned to Nathan. I like her. You should stop being stubborn about it. Nathan couldn't help but laugh. Noted. They walked back to the hotel through mild evening air. Emma chattered about seeing the ocean tomorrow. Victoria walked beside Nathan, close enough that their hands occasionally brushed. At the hotel entrance, Emma hugged Victoria goodnight. Victoria looked surprised, then pleased. Thank you for dinner, Emma said. And for being honest. Upstairs, Nathan tucked Emma in and fielded her verdict. She's nice. And she's sad. Kind of like you. Except she hides it better. Emma pulled the covers up. Are you going to give her another chance? I don't know yet. Well, figure it out. I didn't behave all through dinner for you to chicken out. The trial prep consumed the next 3 days. Nathan spent hours in conference rooms, reviewing data, preparing testimony. Victoria was in her element, sharp, commanding. But Nathan also saw the cracks, the way she worked through lunch, through breaks, the way Daniel would appear uninvited, offering suggestions that were really power plays. On the 3rd day, Daniel cornered Nathan in the hallway. A word, Mr. Brooks. Nathan stopped. If this is about the case, it's about my sister. She's under pressure. This case, the firm's future. I'd hate to see her distracted by personal complications. You mean me. I mean anyone who doesn't understand the stakes. He smiled. Just friendly advice. Do your job, testify, and go back to Oregon. Nathan stepped closer. Let me give you some friendly advice. Your sister doesn't need you running interference in her personal life, and she definitely doesn't need you undermining her professionally. I have no idea what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Nathan turned to leave. One more thing. You call me a mechanic again like it's an insult, and we're going to have a different conversation. Victoria found him later in the conference room. Daniel said you two had a chat. Did he tell you what he said? His version. I want yours. Nathan repeated the conversation. Victoria's jaw tightened. He's trying to protect the firm, she said finally. He's trying to protect his shot at running it. There's a difference. Victoria sat down across from him. You're probably right. Nathan set down the report he'd been holding. Stop listening to people who think caring makes you weak. Your brother's trying to turn you into him because he knows that's the only version of you he can beat. She was quiet. Then, is that what you see? Someone who cares too much? I see someone who's trying to care about her work and her life, and being told she has to choose. He paused. Some people figure out how to do both. Have you? No. I just picked the thing I couldn't live without and built around it. He met her eyes. What can't you live without, Victoria? She didn't answer. Just reached across the table and took his hand. I keep thinking about what Emma said. About showing up for the things that matter. Victoria's voice was quiet. I want to be someone who does that. You showed up to dinner on time. That's a start. She laughed softly, setting a pretty low bar. It's higher than you think. They sat like that for a while, hands linked across reports and briefs. The trial starts tomorrow, Victoria said. I know. Are you ready? To testify? Yes. To figure out the rest of this? No idea. Maybe we can figure it out together. After. Nathan wanted to promise they'd figure it out. But he'd learned that promises made in conference rooms didn't always survive. After, he agreed. Let's get through tomorrow first. The courtroom was older than Nathan expected, wood paneling and high ceilings. The gallery was packed, family members of the victims, journalists, industry observers. Victoria appeared in the witness waiting room, wearing a navy suit. They're ready for you, Nathan stood. How's it going? Their attorney is good. He's going to come at you hard. Don't let him rattle you. Just answer honestly and stick to the data. I've done this before, I know, but not for a while. The bailiff called his name. Nathan walked into the courtroom, raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth. The witness stand felt both familiar and foreign. Victoria led him through the direct examination methodically. His credentials, his experience, his analysis. The bleed air valve should have been replaced at 500 flight hours, Nathan said, pointing to the diagram. Apex Maintenance's records show they replaced it at 483 hours. But when we examine the valve from the wreckage, the serial number shows it's the original equipment, over 1,500 flight hours old. And if the valve had been properly replaced, Flight 447 would have landed safely. The opposing attorney questioned Nathan's motives, his relationship with Victoria, his lack of recent courtroom experience. But Nathan had built his analysis on solid data. Mr. Brooks, isn't it true you left Boeing under contentious circumstances? I left to raise my daughter. There was nothing contentious about it. You walked away from a prestigious position. I chose my child over my career. I'd make the same choice again. The attorney shifted tactics. Sterling and Associates is paying you $50,000 for your testimony. That's significant for someone working as a mechanic. Nathan met his eyes. It's the standard rate for someone with my credentials testifying in federal court. Would you like me to provide fee schedules from other cases? Victoria was suppressing a smile. By the time Nathan stepped down, 3 hours had passed. His testimony had been solid. Victoria caught his eye as he walked past, relief obvious in her expression. Outside in the hallway, she found him by the elevators. You were perfect. Nathan loosened his tie. The data was perfect. Take the compliment. She hesitated. The jury deliberates tomorrow. Could be quick, could take days. Either way, you're done. You can go home. It was what he'd been planning, but leaving now felt wrong. Emma wants to see the ocean, he heard himself say. We're staying until Saturday. Victoria's expression shifted, something hopeful appearing. Yeah? Yeah. So if you're free after the verdict, I'm free. Whatever you need. The next day, while the jury deliberated, the three of them spent the afternoon on South Beach. Victoria had changed into jeans and a t-shirt, and without the armor of professional clothes, she looked younger, less guarded. Emma taught her how to find shells, how to jump waves, how to build a sandcastle. Nathan watched them work together, Victoria following Emma's architectural instructions, and felt something settle in his chest. This could work. Maybe not easily, but it could work. His phone rang just after 4. Victoria's associate. Jury's back. They barely made it to the courthouse in time. Nathan and Emma sat in the gallery while Victoria took her place. The jury foreman stood. In the matter of the families of Flight 447 versus Apex Maintenance and Regional Air, we find the defendants liable for gross negligence. The courtroom erupted. Family members crying, holding each other. Victoria remained still, professional, but Nathan could see her hands shake slightly. In the hallway afterward, surrounded by reporters and grateful families, Victoria finally found Nathan and Emma. "We won," she said, voice cracking slightly. "You won," Nathan corrected. "I just explained the data." Emma hugged her. "Are you coming to Dad's birthday party?" "It's next Thursday." Victoria looked confused. "Your birthday?" "Emma's," Nathan corrected. "She's turning 10. And Dad promised he'd be home for it," Emma added. "But you should come too. We're having pizza and cake and going to the planetarium." Victoria looked at Nathan. He shrugged. "You're welcome. If you can get away." She glanced at her associates waiting nearby, at the reporters, at the work waiting back at the office. Then she looked back at Emma. "I would love to come." "It's not crashing if you're invited," Emma said matter-of-factly. That night, after Emma had fallen asleep, Victoria knocked on Nathan's hotel room door. She'd changed into jeans, hair down. "Can we talk?" They sat on the couch by the window, looking out at the city lights. "I told Daniel I'm restructuring my role at the firm," Victoria said, "transitioning from trial attorney to managing partner. More strategy, less courtroom, different hours." "What did he say?" "That I'm making a mistake. That I'm letting personal life interfere." She smiled without humor. "Same things he always says. And I told him that maybe I am. Maybe that's the point." She turned to look at Nathan. "I'm not giving up my career. I'm not moving to Oregon. But I am making space, starting with a 10-year-old's birthday party." Nathan took her hand. "That's a good start. I'm going to mess this up sometimes. Work will get crazy. I'll cancel plans. And I'll be overly cautious. I'll protect Emma first. Always. So we're both disasters. Seems like it." Nathan pulled her closer. "Want to figure it out anyway?" Victoria rested her head on his shoulder. "Yeah, I really do." 6 days later, Victoria landed in Portland on a Thursday afternoon. Nathan and Emma picked her up, and Emma immediately launched into the party schedule. Pizza at 6, cake at 7, planetarium at 8:30, and you need comfortable shoes. Victoria had packed comfortable shoes. The party was chaos. 9 10-year-olds hopped up on pizza and sugar, asking Victoria questions about being a lawyer and Miami. Victoria sat on the floor with them while Emma opened presents, laughing at their jokes. At the planetarium, Emma insisted Victoria sit between her and Nathan. The show was about deep space, distant galaxies. In the darkness, Emma reached over and took both their hands, linking them together. "This is nice," she whispered. Nathan squeezed her hand, then Victoria's. "Yeah, it is." After they'd dropped off Emma's friends, the three of them sat on the back porch with cake. Emma had chocolate frosting on her face and stars in her eyes. "Best birthday ever," she pronounced. "Better than last year at the coast?" Nathan asked. "Way better, because Victoria was here." Emma looked at her seriously. "Are you going to stay?" Victoria glanced at Nathan, then back to Emma. "I'm going back to Miami tomorrow. I have work, but I'm going to visit. A lot. And maybe sometimes you and your dad can visit me. And eventually we'll figure it out." Victoria smiled. "Is that okay?" Emma considered this gravely. Then she nodded. "That's fair. But don't take too long. Dad's not getting any younger." "Emma," Nathan protested. "What? You're 38. That's pretty old." Victoria laughed, a real laugh that made her whole face light up. "I'll keep that in mind." That night, after Emma had gone to bed, Nathan walked Victoria out to her rental car. The Oregon night was cool and clear. "Thank you for coming," he said. Thank you for inviting me, for giving me a chance to be part of this. She gestured at the house, the porch light, the life he'd built. It's good, Nathan. What you have here, it's enough. It's more than enough. She kissed him, soft and certain. I'll call you tomorrow when I land. And next weekend? I'm flying back Friday night. Emma mentioned something about teaching me to hike. Nathan grinned. She's very ambitious about your Oregon education. Good. I could use some educating. He watched her drive away, tail lights disappearing. Inside, the house was quiet except for Emma's breathing from upstairs. Nathan sat on the porch, thinking about different worlds and how to build bridges between them. His phone buzzed. Victoria. Made it to the hotel. Already missing you both. Nathan typed back, We're not going anywhere. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough not settling, not giving up, but choosing. Choosing presence, choosing connection, choosing to believe that different worlds could find a way to fit together. 3 months later, Victoria stood in Nathan's garage, watching him work on the Lycoming engine. She visited Oregon twice a month now, scheduled it like any important meeting, protected the time fiercely. Hand me that torque wrench, Nathan said. She passed it over, then went back to reviewing case files on her laptop. This was their rhythm now, working in parallel, comfortable in the same space. Emma called it boring couple stuff, which was apparently a compliment. Question, Victoria said. How would you feel about Emma spending part of summer in Miami? There's a marine biology camp she might like. Nathan paused. How long? 2 weeks. I'd take vacation time. It was a big ask. But it was also Victoria trying to build something. Let me talk to her about it, Nathan said. They worked in silence. Then Nathan set down his tools and pulled Victoria into his arms, getting grease on her blouse. Sorry, he said, not sounding sorry. I have 12 of these shirts. She looked up at him. We're doing okay, right? Yeah, we're doing okay. Even though it's complicated? Especially because it's complicated. Nathan kissed her forehead. Nothing worth having is simple. She laughed and held on tighter. Outside the garage door, Emma passed by on her bike, saw them through the window, and smiled before pedaling away. Different worlds. Learning to be one world. Not perfect, not easy, but present. And in the end, that was enough.